Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Grandstream. Today's host is Phil Bowers. He is their Senior Marketing Manager, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the question box, and Phil will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Thank you, Phil, for being with us. Appreciate your time and, of course, the information you're sharing with us here today. I am finished for now. You can go ahead and take it on over.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie, and happy April to everybody out there. Thanks for being with us here for today's webinar, which we do with Microcom every, I think it's about once a quarter. I think last time we did this webinar in January, pretty much did an overview of all of the Grandstream solutions that are available through Microcom. Today, we're going to focus on 4 specific products, 2 that have been newly released within the last couple of months, and then the next 2 that we'll highlight at the end of the webinar are some new and upcoming products that have been launched for beta recently and will be officially launched within the next couple of months. So this basically today is a recap of the new stuff we had within the last couple of months and what to look forward to in the next couple of months. Some of this you may have seen already, some of it we may have covered in a previous webinar, but should be able to get through today's content pretty fast. So first we're going to start off with, change the slide there. So first I want to introduce you to, or kind of give you a refresher if you've seen them already, our new generation of DECT cordless IP phones, which we launched back in early February. There are 2 different handsets and 1 base station. This is the third, we'll call it the 3rd generation of Grandstream DECT solutions. So it is the basically the 3rd series of DECT cordless IP phones that we have launched. First ones that came out 5 or 6 years ago, and as I mentioned, this is kind of the 3rd generation of it. So we have developed quite extensive experience within the DECT marketplace, and this new solution we have is by far the kind of the highest end DECT solution that we've offered. So let's go through the models real quickly. As I mentioned, there are 2 handsets and 1 base station within this new series. And one thing that I will also mention ahead of time is the base station the new base station works with all previous Grandstream DECT handsets, and the new handsets will work with all previous Grandstream DECT base stations. So let's start off on the high end, the DP730. This is easily the highest end DECT cordless handset we've ever come out with. If any of you are familiar with our WP820 or Wi-Fi cordless phone, which we've touched on in the past, this device is, as you can see from looking at it, it's pretty much identical. So it is a really great looking device, very sturdy in your hand. This device has a 2.4-inch color screen, like all the other handsets and base stations, and I have a slide on this coming up. The whole network will support up to 10 SIP accounts or up to 10 lines, and that can be per handset or for the whole system. One of the biggest things on the 730, if you remember anything, is the dedicated push to talk button on the side of it, which I will cover in a second. The handset has both the handsets give you 3.5 millimeter headset jack, HD audio, noise shield technology, just like all of our other phones do. The other thing to remember about this DP730, or kind of one of the things that makes it stand out, is actually the battery capacity that it offers. It says rechargeable AA batteries. I believe it's actually a lithium ion battery, but anyway, it can support up to 40 hours of talk time and up to 500 hours of standby, which is actually about double what we've been able to offer in the past, and is double what most DECT solutions out on the market offer. These devices have both of the handset, the 730, which you see here, and the 730, as I mentioned, can pair with either the new DP752 base station or our previous base station, the DP750. Last thing I'll mention here on the DP730, which again is the high-end new handset, it gives you, it's the second from the last bullet point there, the built-in gesture control sensor and accelerometer. It actually is an accelerometer, which is a gesture control sensor. And it's the same kind of device that is in any smartphone made today, which allows the device to, for example, when you pick it up, to light up and realize that it's being used, or when you flip it over face down to go dark to save battery. But the other thing it allows you to do here, which is great for some vertical industry uses, is you can program the device to basically make calls or to perform certain things based on the activity of that accelerometer. Best example, if the device senses it's being dropped, and decked handsets are really popularly used in a warehouse, for example, the device feels like or senses that it's being dropped or has been dropped, it can trigger an automatic patent call or a call to any other number or all the other handsets to kind of, basically raise awareness that something happened. So that's the DP730, the high-end handset, dedicated push-to-talk, up to 500 hours standby, and the built-in gesture control is really the three things to remember there. The next handset, it's a little bit of a step down from the 730, but it's a step up from our previous models, is the DP722. It's a little bit smaller screen. Does support the same amount of lines and SIP accounts. It does also support push to talk, although it's configurable, meaning that the 730 has a button on the side that all it is for push to talk. With the 722, you can turn any one of those soft keys into, turn any of those soft keys into push to talk buttons. Rechargeable this is the device that gives you the rechargeable AAA batteries, a little bit less. It's just about half the amount of talk time and standby time as the 730, but those 20 hours and 250 hours standby are pretty common, pretty average, I would say, for the DECT marketplace. And just like the previous handset, the 730 does, again, pair with the new DECT base station, which I'll show you in a second, or our old base station, the DP750. So here we have the new base station. It's a DP752. And one of the things that we've been able to kind of optimize on this new series, which I actually probably should have highlighted on the handset pages, is the top bullet point there. We have actually been able to optimize this device through testing to achieve up to 400 meters of outdoor range when you're using it with the DP730. So the DP730 can support up to 400 meters of outdoor range. If you go look at what other manufacturers are supporting, usually they will go no higher than 300 meters. So we have added 100 meters onto that. Our DP722, the mid-range handset that I just showed you, can go up to 350 meters outdoors. So usually from other manufacturers, the highest you'll see in terms of outdoor range supports 300 meters. We go 50 meters above that with the 722 and 100 meters above that up to 400 meters with the 730. Our base station supports, just like our previous one, supports up to 5 handsets, and those can be a mix of these new handsets I showed you or any of the previous or existing Grandstream DECT handsets. Supports HD audio across the whole system, 3-way voice conferencing. The base station obviously supports push to talk so that it can extend that functionality out to the handsets. The button that you see right in the middle of there looks like a little Wi-Fi signal, although obviously in this case it's just kind of a wireless signal. That allows you to pair these handsets by literally just pressing that button to kind of put the device into pairing mode and then going to the handset and choosing the base station, and then you have it fully paired right there. So that is the 752, the base station that goes with this new series. Can cover this real fast. I talked about this earlier. One of the great new features on these devices, especially for retail stores, for warehouses, for schools, for hotels, for other vertical industries, is this push to talk. I'm sure everyone's familiar with it, back from, going back to even the Sprint commercials in the early 2000s. Push a button, it establishes an immediate streaming connection to all the other handsets that you pair with it, or to whatever you configure that push to talk with, to allow you to have on-demand conversations right away, basically like a walkie-talkie. So that's push to talk supported by these devices. Talked about the 10 SIP accounts. Those 10 SIP accounts it's for the whole system. There can be 10 on each handset. There can be 2 on each handset. There can be anywhere between 1 and 10. Basically, the whole system will support up to 10 SIP accounts, and each handset individually will also support up to 10 SIP accounts. So you can load the same accounts on each handset, which is great for the next thing that I got here for you is ring groups. By loading the same SIP account or SIP accounts onto each handset, you can create these different ring groups: circular mode, in which all the phones would ring at the same time when a call comes in; linear mode, in which all of the phones would ring sequentially in a predestined order that you would set; ring in parallel mode, in which they would all ring concurrently after one of the phone, or excuse me, after one of the phone answers, you would allow the remaining available phones to then kind of be released from that and make new calls. It's also the share mode, where all the calls can ring concurrently on all the handsets, and whoever picks up first gets the call. So that's a pretty cool little feature, especially when you consider the fact of putting those accounts on every model. Great for sales teams, great for customer service, great for maintenance staff when something needs to be dealt with right away. All right, so that is a quick little introduction into our new series of decked cordless IP phones. Now for the next, I believe it's 5 slides or so, going to highlight our new digital gateway. It's actually the first digital VoIP gateway that we have ever come out with. There are 3 different models. This is actually currently, no, excuse me. This was released in March, in the middle of March. So it's been out for a couple of weeks now, should be pretty much widely available. So the big thing here is obviously it's an E1T1J1 digital VoIP gateway. It's not an analog VoIP gateway, it's a digital VoIP gateway. So it's the first digital VoIP gateway for Grandstream. Allows you to integrate digital PSTN and ISDN trunks and lines and networks with VoIP accounts, or excuse me, with VoIP networks. 3 different models, which give you either 1, 2, or 4 E1T1J1 ports. It's the 4501 is going to give you 1 port, the 4502 2 ports, 4504 4 ports. Those models will support either 30, 60, or 120 concurrent calls. So the 4501, 1 port does 30 concurrent calls. The 4502 with 2 ports does 60, and the 4504 with 4 ports does up to 120 concurrent calls. Supports PRI, SS7, MFCR2 digital signaling, all of the most popular voice codecs, including Opus G722, which are the popular wideband HD codecs, dual gigabit ports. Like a lot of our gateways and ATAs, it actually has configurable NAT router built into it. Does support multi-language voice prompts as well. So to give you an idea of what the device has, it's a rack mountable design so that it can go right into a server rack. Gives you 2 USB ports and an SD card slot. Those are mainly for expandable memory. Is the best example for those devices. The 3 LED indicators, and then you see the E1T1J1 ports on the back, as well as LAN, WAN, PSU. What you're seeing right here is the 4502, so that you see on the back gives you 2 different E1T1J1 ports. I forgot I had this slide for it, pretty much explained this. This just kind of breaks down the models and talks about the digital signaling for you. Those ports are actually software configurable as E1T1J1, so through the web user interface, you can kind of go in and tell the device what connection it is being given so that it can, recognize that and route it the way that it needs to. In terms of security, just like pretty much every other analog to VoIP device that we offer, ATAs and gateways, gives you all of the high-end VoIP security, SRTP and TLS encryption, which encrypts account information, and then the actual conversations going back and forth. Those are kind of the 2 big ones, as well as with gateways, the advanced defense features, fail to ban, alert events, whitelist and blacklist, as well as actually the ability to kind of gauge and tell you the strength of your password. A variety of different high-end VoIP security features built into this device. So in terms of what do you actually use it for, which, I'm sure many of you know this. For me, it was certainly a new product for us, kind of understanding how the device is utilized out there in the market. And there's basically 2 different main uses of these digital VoIP gateways. This example looks at it from an SMB or an enterprise, a business, a company standpoint. What it allows you to do is increase the amount of PSTN or ISDN trunks that are integrated with your VoIP network to increase the amount of concurrent calls that your whole system supports. So basically, this gateway would be connected on one end to your VoIP network, and on the other end back to a traditional analog PBX or an E1, T1, J1 provider to be able to integrate those trunks with a VoIP network to expand the amount of concurrent calls that you have access to. The other popular usage of these is with service providers, and it allows them to integrate their own SIP trunks with digital PBXs or analog PBXs that a lot of customers are using and don't exactly want to, move their whole system immediately away from what they have, from the deployment that they have set up, but rather to integrate SIP trunks into that to save money and communicate through SIP rather than through traditional through traditional, plain old telephony network. So in this, you would integrate one end of it with the customer's PBX, traditional or analog, or their E1, T1, J1 platform, and then the other side of it was SIP trunks from the SIP provider to allow either an E1, T1, J1 provider to allow their customers to integrate SIP trunks, or a SIP trunk provider to allow their customers to utilize existing PBXs or E1, T1, J1 networks. All right, so that wraps up the gateway. So the next two products, kind of went through that a little bit too fast. So the next couple of products, next two products is a couple of slides, should be able to wrap up here within the next 10 minutes. Are two products that are either, in this case, currently in our beta club, just announced for beta, actually, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago. And then the last product is a whole new series of IP phones that you're gonna see from us coming soon. So the rest of the webinar, the GSC Intercom Speaker you see here, as well as our GRP line of IP phones, which I'll show you next, these are all upcoming unreleased products up to this point. So the I keep hitting go too fast here. So this product that we're coming out with that you see here, which is we released it to our beta club, or took applications to the beta club a couple of weeks ago, which have actually subsequently closed, is our first ever SIP intercom speaker and microphone. We're calling it the GSC 3510. So this device is, I don't know why this slide keeps moving. This device is both a intercom speaker and intercom microphone. So it has a full duplex HD speaker phone built into it with advanced acoustic echo cancellation that can easily be heard within a 10 to 12 meter range, and also has an integrated microphone with 3 integrated directional mics, multi-channel microphone array design, or MMAD as it's known in the industry, beam forming, and a 4.2 meter pickup distance. So this basically allows you to extend a paging or an intercom network to any area within an office building, within a warehouse, within a retail store. And this device features 2-way audio capability so that you can have conversations with anyone at any point in time just directly through this device. Gives you a couple of different network connection options. It actually has built-in Wi-Fi, which is a really cool feature. We've talked about Wi-Fi voice networks in the past and a lot of the advantages of that. This is another way to extend a Wi-Fi voice network, or to easily put in an intercom device in a location where you might not be able to run a hardwired connection to it. The device also has a 10 100 megabit per second port built into it, does support PoE and PoE+, so it can also be powered on and connected to a network that way. So Wi-Fi or wired connections. Has built-in Bluetooth, which allows you to sync this device with other Bluetooth devices. For example, some of our own IP phones, which would allow you to actually then pick up those phones and just simply talk through the speaker microphone through a Bluetooth connection. It would also allow you to then be notified on devices you have paired with it through Bluetooth when a call comes in, and that could be either our own Grandstream Bluetooth enabled devices, the 2100 series, GAC 2500 speakerphone, and a whole bunch of other ones too, the GXP Android phones are all Bluetooth as well. But also with any other Bluetooth device, a mobile phone, tablet, Android, iOS, what have you, to make, receive pages or intercom connections on those other devices as well. In terms of the audio, I apologize where it keeps kind of slipping a slide ahead. Pretty much covered this earlier. I guess the big thing here, more from kind of the engineering side of things, and it's important to note for Intercom networks, it supports 20 kilohertz full band audio, which includes Opus, G722, basically the HD audio formats, and is able to do that at 20 kilohertz. Yeah, so that is the GSC 3510. This is out. We're actually, within probably the next week or two, we'll ship the beta units out to beta testers. So I would expect to see this device released probably sometime in June officially. And the great thing about it, and the reason why we're so excited about it, and to give you an idea of initially how successful it's been, this actually has, we believe, has set the record for applications for our beta club. This device got about 500 applications for our beta club, which is actually more than our Wi-Fi phone got, more than the video phone got. So there is initially a lot of excitement of this product. And the reason for it is, in my opinion, is what you see here on the slide, where it kind of is the last device that we need to really build not just an intercom or facility access network, but basically a whole communication solution that has intercom, facility access, SIP paging built into it by combining all of these devices on a SIP platform, our GDS series of door access cameras or audio access devices, our video phones, our traditional desktop IP phones, and even our cordless IP phones. Both the DECT and the Wi-Fi phones are able to obviously give you a kind of a wireless or a mobile way to communicate with this intercom network to allow entry through or control entry through the door access cameras and audio devices, etc. So this really is going to be kind of the last device that we need to allow our partners to really deploy complete, not just unified communications, but also intercom, SIP paging, facility access networks, all on the same SIP platform. So that is the GSC 3510 SIP intercom speaker microphone. Got 3 slides left for you here, and then we'll wrap up. So it looks like we're making pretty good time. I think I may have mentioned this in our last webinar. And I think I may have forgot to turn the timing off on the slides. We'll find out. But so I may have mentioned this on the last webinar. This is what I would say is the biggest thing that we're working on here at Grandstream this year. It is a new series of IP phones that we're calling the GRP 2600 series. As you can see, just from looking at them, these devices have been completely redesigned. We went back to the drawing board and completely redesigned this entire series to include basically basic options all the way up to high-end options that have identical and what I would say are really impressive looking sleek designs across the whole line. And that's just the beginning. The design's just the beginning. The user interface of these devices have been completely redesigned. They all run unified firmware updates. They all have a variety of different they all support digital BLF. As you can see on one of these models, it actually has a dual LCD screen on it. So this device that you see here in the picture is the GRP 2614. I'll show you a quick comparison on the next slide. There we go. Whoops. Let me go back to this. So this is a good slide that gives you an idea of the whole series. There's actually going to be another model on top of this, the GRP 2616. They'll range in SIP account support from 2 to 16 lines. The big thing, some of the big things with these devices are the multi-purpose keys or the digital BLF that it offers. Every single one of them offers digital BLF keys, which means that you can turn those soft keys and the home screen of the phone into a BLF. The 2614, which you see here, actually gives you a second dual LCD screen as well, built right onto it. I'll come back to this one in a second. Whoops. What else? Sorry. What else do we got? So we'll have a couple of different Wi-Fi enabled models within here. There'll be the lower end one that you see over here on the left, the 2612. There will be a Wi-Fi capable model of that. We're also looking to add a couple of additional. The 2614, as you see there, also supports Wi-Fi. So really, again, taking advantage of the Wi-Fi voice, or the move to VoIP over Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi voice, whatever you want to call it, fully supported by these devices. Opus support, we have an EXT extension module, which you see on the right, which will pair with the GRP2615. These have, we call them swappable faceplates, which you see on the right-hand side there. Well, basically what these devices were designed for is we really designed them for service providers and enterprises. The term that we're using to position these is carrier grade. So one of those carrier grade features, in addition to all of the BLF speed dial support, the built-in Wi-Fi, is to continue on those with carrier grade features, the swappable faceplate. A lot of enterprises, a lot of service providers want their logo on the device. They want the phones to have their own logo on it. Previously, to do that with us, you had to do it as a entire special white label OEM order, which had really high minimum order quantities, because we had to basically manufacture new devices with new logos on them from scratch. What we can do here is just print a faceplate and swap out the faceplate. Very easy to do, very cost effective, very quick to do, a great option to customize this for customize these phones for service providers and enterprises. It is supported, the last thing, or last line down there, which also is one of the major carrier grade features here, is it will be supported by our Grandstream device management system, which is our first ever, or it's not our first ever, but it's our new cloud management and provisioning platform that will be supported by these devices when they come out, and eventually by all Grandstream IP phones. So again, it is a cloud management and provisioning. It's basically a zero-touch provisioning and deployment engine, allows these devices to be plugged in and then immediately provisioned by the cloud, or quickly provisioned by the cloud before they ship out. So literally all you have to do is put the device on a desk, give it a network connection. It will automatically go back to our GDMS and provision the device immediately with zero touch. So that is certainly one of the big carrier grade features here, is that cloud provisioning. What else do we got here? We've also, to get more into maybe the technical side of it, we've changed the way that these devices are configured from an XML standpoint. Many of you may know that most of our devices currently work on the p-value system. This works on a name or an alias-based config XML, which honestly is pretty much what every other manufacturer is currently using. So it'll be very similar in terms of the XML setup as any other manufacturer that you're working with. Yeah, so that's pretty much a quick little overview of the GRP series. We actually announced this model that you see here for beta testing last week. If you're interested in beta testing it, get your applications in, because we are going to close those by Friday. So if you're interested in beta testing this, betaclub.grandstream.com, sign up for the test. If you're approved, you'll get shipped this device that you see here on the screen. Within a couple of weeks, we're going to announce that beta of the cloud provisioning platform I mentioned, GDMS, which is going to also allow you to test this device with that cloud provisioning platform. I would expect to see these devices begin to be released officially in late May, June timeframe. As I mentioned, this model is about to hit our beta test. Usually it's 6 to 8 weeks in the beta test before we announce it publicly. So projecting that's the end of May or June for the official announcement of these devices. And it's going to start out as they're all going to be not all rolled out at the same time. Current plan is to announce the 3 models on the left, the 12, the 13, and the 14, all in the late May, early June timeframe. The 2615 and the 2616, which we have since added to this series, will probably be announced later on in late summer or early fall. All right, so once again, that is an overview of our GRP series, a whole new line of carrier-grade IP phones with cloud provisioning options and built-in Wi-Fi, a whole variety of different digital BLF, the swappable faceplates, variety of other features, which we'll certainly be telling you about a lot more as we get closer to the launch. But that pretty much wraps up what I had to cover here today. Looks like it went about 30 minutes, which I guess for me is usually pretty good. I have a tendency to kind of talk a lot and get excited about some of this stuff. So yeah, with that, I thank everybody for your time here today. Hopefully, the refresher on some of the new products that we came out with within the last couple of months, as well as a look ahead to what you'll see from us in the next couple of months, was beneficial for you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Julie for any questions.
Phil, thank you so much for that presentation. We enjoyed it, and especially with your coming new products that you mentioned will be coming in later on in 2019. So it's very exciting. We're looking forward to that. And I do have questions. Let's get started with the first one. First one here says, regarding the DP730, will this be future-proof that this model will work on your next batches of base stations?
I see no reason why it wouldn't. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, this new series we have is backwards compatible to support all the previous models. So there's no reason why that should change. But I will also say that we're usually, if you look at our past track record, it's 3 years or so usually in between these DECT series. And this new one, we believe, really solved a lot of the issues we had with the previous series. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we haven't even gotten to the point of thinking about or even forecasting a new series of DP models. This should be what we have for a good couple of years. But I'm sure anything we would come out with in the future would be backwards compatible.
Excellent. Thank you. Next question here. Can customers use a different rechargeable battery if it dies, or can you give us your best suggestion about batteries?
Yeah, absolutely. They'll work with so if I remember this off the top of my head correctly, 730 has a lithium-ion battery, and any other lithium-ion battery that is the same size and voltage will work with this device. The 722 has it comes with rechargeable AAA batteries, and obviously those are pretty much standard, so they'll work with any other rechargeable AAA batteries as well.
Great, thank you. Regarding warranties, do you have a warranty on repairs for screen replacements? And what's the best way to go about proceeding with that?
So I'll be honest with you, I'm not really super well versed on our warranty policy. I know that the warranty policy can differ a little bit by region and by distributor. So I would actually, from your end, I would check in with either who you purchased from or your Grandstream sales rep, who should be able to give you more information on that. And I apologize for not being able to give you a better answer.
No worries, Phil. We could always get more info in that. No problem at all. Next question here for you. Would there be a possibility that Grandstream is open to use handsets with a different brand to work with your base stations, or would that not be recommended?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I guess, the answer is no. We don't support that, and I haven't heard any discussion of supporting that. Personally, I think it's a great idea, and I know that we've pushed for it in the past, but technologically there are some limitations to it. There's actually, I believe, completely, some not different, but there's different DEC standards if you want to be able to interact with other manufacturers, handsets, or base stations. So as much as I wish we could do that, our handsets will only work with our base stations, and our base stations will only work with our handsets.
Thank you very much for that. Next question here. For all the features of the phones, if someone wants to deep dive on all the functionality, is there an online webinar or online training that customers could go see to check out everything that the phone does?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind is I would check out our YouTube channel. Just head over to our YouTube, and I believe our channel name is just Grandstream. If you search Grandstream, it'll come up for you. And one of the things that we've started doing over the last couple of years is we do pretty technical deep dive webinars into a lot of these products when we either as sneak peeks or when they're first announced. Those are all recorded and they're all put up there. So you'll be able to watch a webinar. Usually there'll be some kind of way in the caption there to kind of contact us to get more information. So that's the one place that I would look into. If you're looking for like really in-depth, we'll call it Grandstream solution training, like more than just kind of setting up an IP phone, but you want to set up a whole system and use our PBXs or use our door cameras or our Wi-Fi our Wi-Fi products, head over to academy.grandstream.com. That is our whole official training and certification portal, which we have a couple of different training levels. The lowest level allows you to watch a video on your own time and take a test on your own time from anywhere. The second level would be more 1 or 2 day technical trainings in person, which are held not just throughout the country, but throughout the world. And then, yeah, those are the two main levels. So those are more along the lines, the academy trainings of full deployments or installing full solutions. If you're looking for something more specific about a model, check out our YouTube page. The other thing that I would recommend is if you go to our website and go to the product page for any product, there'll be a resources tab or button right at the top of the page. If you click on that, it will show you every technical resource that we have for that product: user guides, administration guides, quick installation guides, data sheets, how-to guides, etc. So those are the two places I would look.
Excellent. Thank you very much for all of that information. Next question here. Is the speaker a combination of AP and speakerphone?
No.
And if so, if you don't mind, there's a second part here. If so, can you communicate to each speaker individually, or will it work like a PA system?
So it's actually a great idea to put an AP in these things. It's a really interesting idea, actually, but no, that's not how it's set up. The device is basically it can receive pages. So a page or an intercom connection from elsewhere, the device can be set to automatically pick it up, to display the sound, and to speak back to you. It is essentially, the way to look at it is it's a SIP endpoint. So if you want to page to this device from somewhere else, you basically just add the speaker as an extension on your SIP network and then would call or communicate to it literally almost the same way you would with any other SIP endpoint, by just communicating its extension, calling its extension, and when that call goes through, it'll turn on obviously the two-way audio of the microphone and the speaker. Yes, that's the average deployment. Fortunately, it doesn't have an AP in it. I think that's a really interesting idea, though, and I actually want to kind of take that back to our engineering team and see what they have to say about it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. A couple more questions here for you. Are there any upcoming trade shows and conferences that Grandstream might be on or be involved in within the coming months?
Great question. Next week, actually, in Las Vegas, we'll be at Channel Partners Conference and Expo. I forget our booth number off the top of my head, but we have quite a large, really great looking 20 by 20 booth. We'll be there next week. The expo runs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So definitely stop by and see us there. We're actually running a cocktail reception at a bar that's nearby to the expo, which is going on at the Mandalay Bay. That cocktail hour is going on Thursday, and if you're interested in that, definitely stop by our booth and pick up an invitation. It's just a quick 2-hour happy hour on Thursday from 6 to 8 after the event ends. So definitely come by and see us at Channel Partners if you're there. It's at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you're interested, join us for that cocktail reception on Thursday and stop by our booth. We can tell you a little bit more about that.
Excellent. That's a nice surprise. Thank you, Phil, so much for answering all of those questions. And thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. And if any of you have any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep, or you can email us at sales@microcomtech.com. If you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, and some of them will be there in the future, please visit us at www.microcom.us. Please remember this webinar presentation has been recorded and it will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Thank you, Phil, so much for all of that information. We're looking forward to all the new things coming from Grandstream, and we appreciate your time and look forward to the next webinar with you.
Anytime, and I'm looking forward to the next one as well.
Thank you, Phil. Bye-bye for now.
Yeah, take care, everyone.